This is the RedMagic 6R. R stands for Racing, a decently priced gaming phone that is less flamboyant and more unpretentious while showcasing specs that only named flagships can brag in the country club of top-tier prices. This 6.7-inch AMOLED 144Hz Snapdragon 888 liquid-cooled smartphone with dedicated shoulder triggers and 5G connectivity sits comfortably in any pocket at a price twice as low as some of its biggest rivals. Let's be clear, I'm an iPhone user and I've always been part of the sheep herd. So as soon as I got delivery of this RedMagic device, my bias kicked in and I was ready to write it off for the most obvious of downsides, like the bottom-firing speaker and the camera, for example. But at some point during my testing, I felt weird because it has started to grow on me. Let me explain. As I break down this smartphone, I will be pointing out its downsides or compromises to be more precise, and at the end, I'll tell you what annoys me most and what I wish the company hasn't settled with. So the display of this smartphone is one of its biggest selling points. The 6.67-inch 144Hz adaptive refresh rate display is a joy to stare at and absorb during Netflixing and gaming, and despite being only Full HD in resolution, 4K content is definitely not something that most people would miss. The 10-bit color depth and 100% DCI-P3 panel combined with the smoothness of the high refresh rate will help anyone immerse into the content at hand. This display being adaptive means that it will lock to the optimal rate in accordance with the game that is being played, and 360Hz touch sampling rate will guarantee ultra-fast touch and precise response, especially in competitive titles. What I would ask more here is brightness. 770 nits are plenty bright indoors, but outside is not enough. In the shade it's manageable, but in bright daylight it's something to see. By the way, this is my first device with an under-display fingerprint sensor, I think. I may be wrong. Am I? Anyway, it is easy to work with, and this being a gaming phone based on RedMagic OS 4 and Android 11 means that I can change the unlock animations and, by the way, do all sorts of gaming UI tweaks, to my liking, and integrate all the cool futuristic options available. Unlocking it at night blinds me shortly, but at least I feel cool about it. The performance of the 6R is nothing to complain about. I mean, R stands for racing after all. Featuring the latest Snapdragon 888 and my device at hand having the baseline 8GB LPDDR5 and 128GB UFS 3.1 storage, there's plenty of output to play even the most demanding of titles on the Play Store, should you have the patience to go through all the additional download screens and boring tutorials. Anyway, similar specs are to be seen on pretty much all the popular flagship phones out there, but in many cases not at that cost. This device is less expensive than the OnePlus 9. All this power means absolutely nothing when the cooling is not enough to support it during longer gaming segments, and the graphite plus VC liquid cooling plus thermal conductive gel plus copper foil plus metal mid-frame marketing lingo seems to be doing a decent job. After a few hours here and there going through popular titles, I felt little heat on the back, but nothing that can bring discomfort or lead to stutters of the game. Silky smooth performance on the highest of specs in most cases. Rocking this Snapdragon 888 means that 5G is here as well, although I still can't test it given my location. The build of this phone is fantastic. The front and back glass are sandwiched tastefully and nice to hold. In fact, this device is very manageable without the provided case despite the large display and footprint. It comes in two colors, silver and this black, and the gaming hints are very subtle, making it great even for the non-gamers out there. No RGB mumbo jumbo and just the right amount of branding for a gaming device. This dark color attracts fingerprints, but it's not as bad as some other devices I've seen, and it's very easy to wipe off in a cotton shirt shoulder. I'm not particularly a fan of the volume buttons being on the right side right next to the power button, but there's a reason for that. When playing games, having access to the volume control on the same side where you have the shoulder triggers is definitely well thought out. While mentioning the shoulder triggers, this is yet another feature that is not common on standard devices. The 400Hz sampling rate capacitive touch shoulder triggers that can be mapped to pretty much any game are very helpful, especially in competitive titles, pretty much eliminating the need for using a controller, although I'm still not that good at smudging the screen when moving around. The game space interface is what makes this phone special. This is the gaming hub or the command and control center where you can launch titles and bring up all sorts of settings during any gameplay, like switching the refresh rate, adding on-screen aiming assistant, making recordings, and measure and change the performance of the device, like enabling super performance, which brings out the most out of the internals of the device and makes me want to put a special band on my forehead and really dive into the game that I'm playing. This device starts at €499 and I believe $499 in the US. And for that, you get the usual package with 30 watts fast charge brick, protective case in the package, a dongle to plug in the 3.5mm headphone jack should you decide to do that, and also a pre-installed screen protector. And the topic of the dongle brings me to the shortcomings or the downsides of this phone. There are 4 things that you cannot expect from this device. First is wireless charging, which at this price can be easily expected. Second, the brightness of the screen, which I mentioned earlier. Third is the single bottom firing speaker, and last is the so-called 64 megapixel Ultra HD AI quad camera combo. Equipped with a 64 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, 5 megapixel macro, and 2 megapixel depth of field one, this phone has way too many cameras to deliver something exceptional. I've always said that such narrowly focused device should focus on the MVP, which is the gaming aspect of the phone, and add just a single sensor, maximum 2, that can deliver something decent, without wanting to be something that it's not. Don't get me wrong, the camera combo does the job just fine, but not more than fine, and it has so much potential given the Snapdragon 888. Nevertheless, the camera is not the most disappointing thing about this device. The most irritating thing to me is the single bottom firing speaker, and not because it is single, but because as soon as you grab the phone to play and use the shoulder triggers, I immediately block it. And by block it, I mean, where did the sound go, mate? Block it. Rotating the phone does allow for some sound flow, but then my shoulder triggers are upside down. How did that happen? And also, let me play you the default ringtone of this dedicated, cool looking gaming phone. And let me try another one. Okay, maybe just another one. All jokes aside, this is a good all-round device for its price, and I love it when it rhymes. I wish it had decent speakers and better cameras, but that may be something to expect in the future from the company, should they decide to send me another phone after this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below or ping me on Twitter. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure. This is Z, over and out.